Welcome to the Scott Townsend Show, brought to you by Dietzo Man Productions.
I think something that Jesus says comforts me is, hey, they're going to hate you for the way you believe and what you're saying, but don't worry, they hated me first. So that just lets me know I'm in good company when oh man, you know what blows me away? It's being afraid to say something that I know Christians are going to disagree with that's biblical. You want me to give you a great example?
Such as?
Don't talk bad about our president. Just let that sit for a second.
Okay, hey, this is Scott Townsend. Welcome back to the Scott Townsend Show. And today I have with me once again the good friend, youth pastor, all-around great guy, leader of the Mets Monday morning men's meeting. We call it the M5, or I do. I don't know if everybody else does, but it just makes it easier to say. So welcome back, Matt.
How are you doing today? You always ask me.
I'm doing great. It's kind of like I said earlier, it's a rainy, gray, cold day. It's a great day to be taking a nap, which I might do right after this. Who knows?
I don't know if you can hear this, but for those of you watching, I work at the church and we're doing a funeral today, and in the church is playing right now Simple Man by Leonard Skinner.
Heck yeah, man.
So that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Well, you got that awesome sound system. I mean, I'd be in there all the time jamming out to all kinds of stuff.
I would, but I don't think they'd like what I jammed out to.
So what's been going on since the last time we spoke? I mean, last week I think we talked about so we're in the book Crazy Love. And so I got this mini series that I'm doing on the Scott Townsend Show with Matt, and we're discussing each chapter of Matt's got us reading. We have a men's group that meets every Monday morning, and you've got us reading Crazy Love by Francis Chan. And last week we talked about serving leftovers to a holy God. This week we talked about chapter 6, When You're in Love. And I mean, it's a good chapter. It's just, you get a bunch of guys sitting around and talking about love. It really doesn't. Not a lot to say there, but
The thing that qualifies it to me is that all of those guys, as tough as they are, have at one point or another in their life fallen in love with a girl.
Right.
And let's be done. Like, I'm willing to do anything for this woman. I'll talk to her all night. I'll buy her flowers. I'll write her poetry. I'll do whatever. We all do it. We've all gone through that process. And I would say you're a machine if you haven't, but nobody's disqualified from that conversation. Everybody does it. There's never been a moment in time where it was just like, yeah, she's my girl and that's it. She just, it's almost like you have to sell yourself to this person.
Yeah, it's a big sales job for sure. Yeah,
for sure. I'm a horrible salesman too.
So what was it like, you and Laura? What was your crazy stuff you did when you were going out with your wife?
Laura, for those of you who don't know, is older than me. So when I met Laura when I was a sophomore in high school, and she had just graduated high school. So instantly I was just like, okay, well, she's too old, and never thought about it. And then
sophomore, junior, senior. So she's like 2 or 3 years older.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now it's not a big deal in age.
Right.
But when you're in high school, it's the world,
Yeah.
And she had gone on a missions trip, and she was coming. When they came back, the group shared on Sunday morning at the church about their missions trip, and she shared, and it was really good. And I just remember, I didn't even really know Laura at the time. I just leaned over to my mom who was sitting there with me, and I said, that's the kind of girl I want to marry. And it was just, I had no, like, I wasn't going to approach Laura after the service and be like, God tells me I'm supposed to marry you, because that's the biggest cop out of all time. But it was just like, I want to marry a girl like that. And God has his way of working things out. And lucky for me, one day she noticed me after years of me noticing her. Trust me, I was, 160 pounds in high school, and I looked like my youngest son, Grant, just super skinny, big head. So there wasn't anything special physically about me, but she saw something, I guess. And lucky for me, she started liking me. And, and it's weird because when you're in love, like I said, I hate talking on the phone as an adult. I don't like casual phone calls. It's just not something I enjoy.
Right.
But when you're dating, you're just like, I'll talk to you until 3 a.m. I don't care, I even make fun of it now. It's just, I love her to death. But it's just gross. It's gross what happens to a guy when they're in love.
Yeah. It's unbearable to all their friends and family around.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially being a youth pastor, when a youth kid falls in love with the one they think is the one, and you can see right through it, and you're just like, oh my God, gross. But I'm sure you're going to transition into this, but it's kind of the same thing when we accept Christ. Is, I want to go all in. I want to read my Bible every day, and I want to pray all the time, and I want to be super spiritual. And, we try to go in on that, and honestly end up burning out because, unless you're doing it with the right motives or you have the right heart change, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Other people have done it and been successful in doing it, so I can't speak for everyone, but for myself, it's just, I don't know.
So, when you're talking about falling in love and doing silly things and spending so much time together and wanting to spend even more time, even when you have to hang up, you still wish you were still on the phone.
Yeah.
That's with the girl, or the girl with the guy, whatever. So we can all understand that, but I don't think that we can understand talking about acting that way with another guy, Jesus. And we totally get it when it comes to our wives, girlfriends, whatever. We look back and we laugh about it, and it is funny. But what is it about? Are we supposed to act like that towards Jesus, or and God, or give everything up and be totally devoted? And
I think, honestly, in any relationship, you don't know how to be in the beginning. You have an idea of what you think you want to be.
Yeah.
Until
it's
you learn
awkward,
until you learn that other person's personality, their behaviors, how they view things. I would assume that you're most vulnerable with your wife. You tell her everything. She sees the bad side of you. She sees the good side of you.
Yeah.
But I think you're more vulnerable when there's a relationship built over time. And that can happen with guys as well. Honestly, like I need guys in my life who are gonna, who I have a relationship with, because the other thing is too, there are guys who think it's cool to just speak into your life right away and they barely know you.
Yeah.
Just like when you have a group of friends, let's just use this example. You have a group of friends, and then a new person joins the group and they start trying to joke and make fun of you like they've been a part of the group for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work. And so there can be awkwardness and weirdness there. But when the relationship happens and the relationship forms, there are some things that you can say that other people can't say, or there's things that you can do or ways you treat each other that other people can't just come in and do. And And I would say the same goes for your relationship with Christ. There's not a good understanding of who he is. And so we think we have to put on this super spiritual front in the beginning.
Right.
And God's not asking us to do that. God's asking us just be who we are. And we've talked about this before, is just, we need to stop pretending we're Christians and start acting like it. And what I mean by that is being vulnerable with God, sharing with him the stuff he really already knows about you, all the things you do in private and the thoughts you have, and just not making him aware of it, but just being open with him about it. There's this, I don't know the term for it, but there's this thought that we have to we should bring God our best. That's granted, but we should bring him not just our best, but our worst too. Because he's the only one who can really help us with it. He's the only one that can really do anything about it. And I think we just have a misunderstanding of who he is when we first accept him. Oh yeah, he's this, he's that, and I have to act a certain way. I think the moment the word act comes into it, you need to start questioning your motives. There should be no acting about it. There should be just there should be no show, I guess you could say. I just your authentic true self is who you should be around God. Talk the way you talk. Another good example is just like when people find out I'm a pastor, there's a weirdness that goes with that, where they start acting like somebody they're not. And I have a buddy, his name's Jeremy, cusses like a sailor, and he would even admit to it. And he didn't know I was a pastor when he was first around me and was cussing. And then somebody just kind of mentioned to him I was a pastor, and he got a little weird. And I said, Jeremy, if you stop, I said, basically, I want you to be yourself around me. That lets me know that you're my true friend, that you are who you are no matter what. It's not for me to change you. I'm not going to try to change you. I want you to be who you are. It's not my job to change you. And the longer you're around me, hopefully some of the things or some of the characteristics I have rub off on you, and the way you view life rubs off on me, and iron sharpening iron, if I'm correct, I don't know. I have a desire, and I think the world honestly has a desire for people to be real and authentic, and especially from the church. If me and you are sitting down having a conversation, not on Zoom or not doing a meeting, I want you to be who you are, not who you think you should be around me. And it lets me know, okay, Scott trusts me enough to be himself. And I think the world's looking for that right now. I think people are looking for that right now. Not somebody who has all the answers, just somebody who is trying to figure it out the same way I'm trying to figure it out. And I think, honestly, God honors that humbleness, that willingness to just be vulnerable. Vulnerable has such a weird stigma to it, because vulnerable means I just don't feel right. I just feel really insecure right now. Guys are not going to admit their insecurities around each other until there's a relationship built to where they feel they're comfortable enough to share that. And I think those are the true powerful moments, especially in our group, when guys are vulnerable and they just say things like, you know what, I really don't know what to do about my son. I don't know what to do about my kids or my wife or this relationship I'm in. Don't know what to do about my job right now. And it just allows it allows men to speak into other men's lives in a positive way. But again, I believe there has to be a relationship built in that process for it to be effective.
Yeah, and you've heard it so many times, they say kids spell relationship or love Time. And it just takes us spending time with God and in prayer and in his word to develop that relationship with him.
Yeah.
Just takes time, like you said. When you start going out when you go out with your girlfriend or whatever at the very first, it's not probably, it is really awkward, and you don't even know what to talk about, and you're stuttering and stammering. And let's fast forward a year later, you know each other really well. She knows your likes, dislikes, you know hers. You can just jump right in fast, but you
Yeah.
can't do that until you spend time with them. So I guess that's what we need to do. Chapter 6, when you're in love, how do you fall in love with God, Jesus? You have to spend time with, what I'm hearing you say is you got to spend time with him and let him change you.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
that's honestly, I think I keep saying honestly, I gotta watch that. Everything else has been a lie. So I say honestly.
I know, I catch that every time. It's hilarious. Can I just be honest with you? Can I just
I know. It's kind of my buzz.
other people
It's kind
say
of
that, not you. I'm just talking about other people. And I go, so you've been lying to me the whole time up to this point?
100%. Yeah. Now you made me forget the question. What was the question?
Relationship equals time, and we instead of us trying to change, just let God relax and let God change us through that time, through spending time with him. Discover what he likes, what he doesn't like, just like you discover what your girlfriend likes or doesn't like, and her favorite foods and whatnot. And it just kind of seems weird to talk about love. And it's so funny because guys show love a lot different than probably girls do for others. Like I'm thinking of the movie Lonesome Dove, which is probably the best love story ever.
100%.
And at the very end, when Robert Duvall, I'm gonna give a spoiler here. So when Robert Duvall dies at the very end, and he asks, what was his friend's name? Anyway, Call, if he would bury him in Texas, where he's from, and they're way up in Montana or someplace, and he says he will. And he honors his word, and he carries this body from the north of the United States all the way down to Texas. Oh man, can you imagine? And then so he gets to Texas, and he buries his best friend because he said he would, and because that's just what guys, you're only as good as your word, and he does it. And he loved his friend, and they had respect for each other. They had big adventures together, and they knew each other so well. And
I'm glad you mentioned this movie, because it's like probably one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And what I love about it was a made for TV movie. So 8 hours long, but it all culminates to that one moment. And I love when Call, or Tommy Lee Jones's character, talks to Robert
Tommy Lee
Duvall,
Jones,
on his deathbed, where he says, I want you to bury me in Texas. And he goes, why on earth would I do that? And Call's response is, I'm giving you one more adventure. It was just like, it was basically his way of saying, I love you. Mm-hmm. And you can say you love me by burying me where I'm asking you to, but I'm doing this because I care about you. Yeah. And obviously there's easier ways to do it. I mean, without sharing too much information, with what one of our guys is going through in our group right now. I mean, there's only so much we can do, but the little we can do, we can show that we love this guy.
Right.
Taking him food, guys showing up just to say, hey, I mean, like, I love the way y'all did it. You just showed up and just said, hey, we care about you. That speaks volumes to somebody. And I think we need to get to the point where it's not necessarily that we're saying like, hey, Scott, I love you. That could be weird. Yeah. But if Scott's going through something, or he needs to talk about something, hey, Scott, I'm here. What do you need? Mm-hmm. That's a way of saying it, or encouragement, when life's not going right. The whole idea of the church was to live life together, do life together, and take care of somebody who can't take care of themselves in a moment, or everybody pools their funds to help this person get to where they need to be, or take care of things they can't take care of. That's the church, and it's community and it's encouragement and it's, it was Jesus's plan. And there's no better way to say I love you than living life alongside somebody and saying, hey, I got you in your weak moments. You got me in my weak moments. And how powerful is that? I mean, that's the greatest commandment walked out right there. The two greatest commandments: love God, love others. And like I've said before, you can't do the second one until you've done the first one, because if you look at our group from the outside, it's just like, that's weird. It's just another church group meeting and probably talking about churchy stuff. Well, actually, yes, most of the time we do, but at other times we are, encouraging each other and talking about like how to be a better husband, how to be a better father, how to be a better man at work, and getting, doing your work as unto the Lord, which sounds super spiritual, but it means doing what no one else is willing to do, so you have a good reputation, and if you just do that one verse at work, like do everything as unto the Lord, you'll get promoted. There's no way around it. And it may not feel like it at the time, and it may take longer than you think, but that would be an encouragement I would give to somebody. It's just like, man, I hate my job. Well, I need somebody. If I made that statement, like, I hate my job, I would expect somebody in the group to be like, hey, why don't you view it in a different way? Why don't you view it with the filter of do your job as if you're doing it for God himself?
Reframe it.
That's an encouragement. And if you do that, the Bible says the word cannot return void. So if you walk it out and you believe it, I truly believe like you'll see results. And again, going back to the whole point of this chapter, is that's the best way I can tell Scott Townsend, hey, I love you, is to not necessarily, I don't like the word correct, but it's just to, hey, why don't you view this in a different way? Why don't you see this from a different perspective than the way you're seeing it? And we all need that. We need that as husbands, and wives need it, kids need it. And it's a good way to say like, hey, I care about you, I love you, without actually saying I love you.
So we're approaching this whole subject of loving God, loving Jesus, loving each other from a man's perspective, because it's a men's meeting. I mean, so if you're listening and you're saying, well, gosh, what are y'all talking about? Well, we're really talking about, in this case, it's about loving Jesus, guys loving each other, their friends, not in a goofy, funny way, but a true call and what's the other guy's name? Call and
Gus, in
that kind of a way, where, and it's so funny because guys just show love different to each other. Like like if I'm teasing somebody, or if I punch them in the arm, or I know it's weird, but if I like somebody, I'm probably going to come up to them and harass them, grab them around the neck, and give them a noogie or something.
I'm the same.
But
I'm the same.
Yeah.
I don't like you, I don't talk to you.
But and that's just my way. It's a lot of guys' way, not every guy's way, but it's more physical, it's more jokey, it's more guys aren't usually, I'm generalizing here, but they have a hard time with saying the word love. Yeah. I remember one time Jamie Kelly, I can't remember what happened, and I said something to him that could really have been misconstrued. It wasn't very anyway, so I said, hey man, I love you, just kind of kidding, and so then every time I saw him, like for the next 3 or 4 weeks, it was like, hey man, I love you, man. Actually, the more I did that, the easier it got. Now, yeah. If two guys, once again, in the oil field, or they're truck drivers or something like that, you really don't expect them to go up and go, hey man, while we're pulling this pipe out of the ground, I just want to let you know I love you, man. It's probably not going to happen. But
so to that end, what would
Are
be
you
a
looking
way
at your
for you to
Are you
say,
looking at your phone? Are you looking at your phone again?
no, no way. Um,
Flip
there's
it
a
over.
lot of things.
Flip
Hey,
it
there's a
over.
lot of things
Flip it
happening
over.
today, Scott. Um, you can tell somebody on the oil field you love them by doing a good job and making their life easier.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
I mean,
Totally.
again,
1,000%.
you don't have to be so one-sided about this.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
knowing
exactly
that
right.
being someone who can be relied on to get things done, that's a way. I mean, people in the military, I could talk to my dad about people he served with in Vietnam, and I'm sure he loves those guys.
Yeah.
They never have said it to each other, but it was just being there for them, you know, whatever scenario it may be. There's more ways to say I love you than actually saying it.
Mhm.
And I think we need to be more aware of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I
was going to say, but I completely blanked on it.
I think, but I am going to try to use the L word more and
Yeah.
just just not get too weird with it, but just do it because I need to hear it. I need to hear like actually I only heard my dad say it one time in my life.
Wow.
And when he said it, it was hard for him to say that. But I knew he loved me.
Yeah.
There was no question, no doubt. And so it's just, it's just kind of hard to act. Just it's easier to just go about your day and show you love people by doing things rather than just actually say it. And maybe saying it doesn't mean so much, but then again, maybe it does.
I think for guys, it's in the action more than it is the words.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, Laura could tell me she loves me and it's cool and I like it. I like it when she just randomly says it for no reason, or when my sons say it.
Right.
Cool. But when they show me they love me, that's,
Yeah. Get that big Christmas present,
Oh, heck yeah. Dude, the best Christmas present I got this year, it was freaking awesome. And it only cost them probably $40.
Oh, yeah.
My refrigerator downstairs where I detail cars was filled to the brim with LaCroix. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, this is the best gift I've ever gotten.
That's so funny.
It's just something I like, and it was all different flavors, and they had spent some time like building it up because I never go in there because there's never anything in it. I wasn't expecting it.
LaCroix.
It was really cool. Yeah, I like it.
If anybody's listening, get Matt some LaCroix, or if you want to get me something for Christmas, the Millennium Falcon Lego set.
Wow.
7,000 piece, $800 Lego set. That'd be really cool too. So.
I bet you are so excited for your granddaughter to get older. Babies are cool. They get a little boring. Let's not lie.
Yeah, let's not lie. The last thing I thought we might bring up, how you doing on time?
I'm good.
Okay. Last thing I was going to bring up, see what you thought. I underlined this, and it really doesn't have much to do with when you're in love, but it's in the chapter. And it says on page 106, Jesus said, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart and overcome the world." And I underlined that because, and in the margin I wrote, to be more like Jesus, be transparent. Nobody was more transparent or vulnerable than Jesus. I mean, he never shirked away from telling you, this is going to be tough, man. I mean, he could have sugarcoated it, and he could have told you about all the miracles you're going to be able to do and all the great things that are going to happen. And you got it, by now, And, but no, he's from the get-go, he tells you it's going to be tough, man. He's not trying to, I wish I was a sales guy like that. You're always trying to sell them up. Everybody's got an angle. Here's the reason why you need to buy this crappy product. Yeah. It'd be really nice if someone just said, you know what, this stuff here, it's worthless, but this over here is really good. And they want me to sell more of the worthless stuff, but this is bad.
Yeah.
Go over here. You need this. That's what you want. You want people just to shoot you straight, and probably there wasn't a straighter shooter than Jesus.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think honestly, it's another way to like tell somebody you love them. I wish we had a class at church where it was just like, if people gave their lives to Christ, we had like this class right afterwards that was just like, hey, just because you accepted Christ doesn't mean that, you know, everything's going to be great as soon as you get back to your car. You're still going to want to smoke or drink or still have a bad attitude or still yell at your kids or your wife or whatever.
Right.
But now that you've made this decision, you're not doing this on your own, and you have somebody you can rely on, and you have a community of people who can, you know, help you through those tough times. But I think the thing is, and, you know, this is something we're starting to gear up for at City Church, is discipleship. And I think it's one of the most necessary things we can do as a church to tell people, hey, we love you enough to push you along to grow spiritually. Because there's just too many people in the world who just, they're okay with being spiritually immature. And let me preface this by saying, just because you know scripture doesn't mean you're mature.
Right.
But walking it out, and there is no better way to learn than by making mistakes.
Boy, that is so true. Hallelujah.
I could read a book all day about
a big clap on that one.
There's no better way than just falling down and getting back up. If anything's easy, then it's truly not worth it, you know.
1000%.
There's no way around it. There's no way around getting muscles, you know. There's no pill, there's no 3-step process. There's just work.
So let me jump in there real quick. And on one of the shifts, this person I was working with did everything. Wouldn't let me hardly do anything. Just jumped in there and took care of everything. By the end of the day, I hadn't learned anything.
Yeah.
And I was really frustrated. Okay, fast forward next day with another person, and they let me just make all kinds of mistakes. I mean, I made all kinds of mistakes. I wasn't down on myself. This is what I needed. I needed to put it into practice and oh, no, this is right. Oh, that's wrong. You know, back up, do it again. But I learned so much the next day by making mistakes. I'll never make those mistakes again because I learned it once. We're good. Move on down the road. And by the end of that day, I was so much more satisfied, even though I had made more mistakes than I even wanted to. But I learned so much, and it was very fulfilling. So yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying there.
Yeah. You've heard it before. Like, we live in a microwave society where it's just like we want it instantly. But there's nothing instant about success.
Right.
You know, spiritually, physically, however, monetarily. Obviously, anybody would love to be given $1 million. But for some reason, there's just something on the inside of me. It's just like, I want to earn it. I want to earn $1 million because I want to respect the process.
Yeah.
And enjoy the process, because I can look back on, you know, what it took to get there, and I can be more appreciative of what I have now instead of just being like, I have $1 million. You know, I mean, they make shows about people who win the lottery and are completely broke now.
Right.
Stupid crap that they didn't understand, you know, or not understanding that, you know, investments don't always work out.
Or that every scam artist in America has got a bullseye on their back and they're trying to con them out of their money.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, and again, being married, you know, there's no couple on this earth that's telling the truth that hasn't fought or hasn't disagreed about something, or, you know, have gone, I don't want to say gone to blows. You shouldn't go to blows with your wife or your spouse, but
more like Will Smith, you know, going to blows for your wife, not.
Oh my gosh, that is just, oh. I've heard
let's
so
take let's
much.
take a little side trip here real quick.
Go for it. What are your thoughts?
What's your thoughts on Will Smith and Chris Rock there?
Okay. Okay. At
We're
first,
we're going to take a detour here, so just if you're listening, watching, just hang on.
and we are two guys who are not, smart about anything, correct?
Right.
Just opinions.
I'm the third of the class that made the top 2/3 possible in high school. So yeah.
What is it? I love it. I love this term. It's just like, you're not the worst player on the team, but you better hope that kid doesn't quit. Um,
Exactly.
at first, when I saw it, because I'm not on social media, so I'm not. As soon as I mentioned something, they're like, "Yeah, that's been going on for like 2 weeks." Everybody had already formed their opinions on it, but when I saw it, I was just like, "Cool, this guy took up for his wife."
Yeah.
But then I started doing a little research, and it's weird. Like it was, I don't know, it was inappropriate. It's not how you handle things. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's many things that I've said that people have disagreed with or made an off-color comment about somebody, and I'm glad they didn't come up and smack me in the face. But I mean, I've had people let me know they didn't like what I've said. Laura being one of them after a message on Sunday morning.
Oh man.
I don't think it was right. I don't think it was justified. I mean,
Yeah, talk about two guys fighting. So guy to guy. I agree. At first I thought, well, he's taking up for his wife, he's standing up there. And I don't know Will Smith, I don't know Chris Rock, I don't know anything. And so this is just me on the outside looking in. I agree. At first it looked like somebody who's being chivalrous and taking up for their wife's honor, stuff like that. But comedians, they're supposed to, my God, Ricky Gervais probably thought, I don't know how I got away with what I said, 2 years ago or whenever he did the Academy Awards.
I'll send you his tweet about the situation.
Oh yeah, cool.
Oh my gosh.
But but I get the sense that something's going on with Will Smith. He seems to be this is just me. He seems to be troubled. Something's going on where there's a lot going on there, and I think he just wasn't in his right mind and just acted out. Unfortunately, it was in front of a billion people, Now, Chris Rock, you got to hand it to Chris. I mean, he stood his ground and he kept going. I don't know if I could have done that. I just would have said, you know what, you guys handle it. I'm out of here. How do you recover from something like that?
Years and years of dealing with it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I love about, comedians. They say that you can't be a good comedian until you're 10 years in. Because, and I know this from experience speaking in front of large groups of people, you're going to fail. There are going to be moments where nothing clicks, nobody responds, nobody likes, or, there's many uncomfortable moments that I think make you better in the long run. And same for him. How many people at a comedy show when he wasn't Chris Rock, yelled out, "You suck," or "You're not funny," and you build up a skin to it. Now, I don't know how I would handle it if I was speaking on a Sunday morning or at youth and somebody just came up and smacked me in the face. I don't know how I would.
So let
me
back up. Let me back up with that. I'm afraid that this might set a precedent. What I don't like is now, unfortunately, I don't like the precedent this sets for people on stage that might say something that irritates someone in the audience, and they feel like now they are empowered it's okay to go up and just smack the crap out of somebody, knock them down, body tackle them. I don't know.
Here's what I think. Yeah, I agree. I don't like the precedent it sets either. I think people are they're probably going to get so fed up with the direction America is going that a majority is just going to stand up and be like, all right, that's enough. And we're just not going to listen to it anymore. I'm not saying it's the way it's going to go, but people will get tired of this kind of behavior. I think going back to Chris Rock, I think he handled it really well. And honestly, I made the comment this morning, this is going to feed his comedy even more, and he will benefit in the long run on this, because now he has so much material to use.
Oh my God.
So many things to make fun of. And it was
he can
off,
talk about that
it was
night for years.
Yeah. I mean, but again, it's just, if I wouldn't say that I'm a grown man spiritually, I'm learning. I'm trying to grow as much as I can. I feel like I'm led by the Holy Spirit. Or I know I'm led by the Holy Spirit, so I don't say stupid things, because I never want to be known as the guy who, can you believe what this pastor in Bartlesville, Oklahoma said about this? You know, I don't want to be famous for that. I don't want to be famous at all, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think I said this last week, there's never been a more important time to just listen to God and the Holy Spirit and just let him direct you where to go and what to say and how to say it. There's an old, I don't know where it came from, an old adage that everyone wants to be led. They may never tell you they want to be led, but they want to be led. They want somebody to stand up and lead. And I think, you know, after the pandemic and after, you know, everything going on in the world today, people are just wanting someone to just say, okay, enough is enough. Let's go this direction. Let's do this. And I think it's a really crucial time for the church to honestly do that. And I don't think, I can't say what it's going to look like, but I don't think it's going to be mega church driven. You know, I think it's going to be more one-on-one, more groups, more friendships built, kind of like what we're talking about today. It's just, I can just as much impact on this world on a Monday morning at 7 a.m. as I can if I was a movie star. You know, they have a larger microphone, but here's the thing, like, Jesus didn't go to the Roman Colosseum to preach. He preached on the side of a hill, and 2,000 years later, 2,000 plus years later, here we all are because of that little thing. I wouldn't say little thing he did, but just
it started off little, small.
He wasn't showy. He wasn't showy. Like, he's just like, hey, don't go around telling everybody I healed you. Just go back, you know, go back to the temple, show them you're healed, you know. And that never happened. People never listened to him. They always went, like, you're not what this guy did for me, you know. It's an inward movement, you know. I can't. There's another verse in the Bible that says, don't become so well adjusted to this world that you fit into it without even realizing it. It's from the Message version. So that in itself is going to take a lot of flag because it's the Message version. But it's true. And it would be easy to get into that mindset of just like, okay, well, I can see where they're coming from. I'm not saying we don't listen to them. I'm not saying we don't have a conversation. We should always have a conversation. It's not always us versus them. It shouldn't be that way either. It should be us reaching out to them and talking to them and helping them and discussing things and building relationships so we can at some point or another speak the truth into their lives. And that's our opportunity. If they accept it, great. If not, we've done our part. You know, not everybody's I hate saying this, but not everybody's going to make it to the end. Do you know what I mean? Like, that sounds so harsh.
Make it to the end. What do you mean? What's the end?
Make it to heaven. Like, I'll just say, not everybody's going to accept Christ. That's just, I mean, the Bible clearly says that. Not everybody's going to do it. But what will happen if the word of God is true, and I believe it is, everyone, whether they believed or not, is going to bow a knee to God at some point. And that almost sounds weird, but I believe what the Bible says. They're all going to see him in his glory and realize in that moment, like, I messed up. You know, I didn't make the right choices, or I didn't accept him like I should have. And I don't want to be on the wrong end of that, you know, but while I am here on this earth, you know, I think something that Jesus says comforts me is, hey, they're going to hate you for the way you believe and what you're saying, but don't worry, they hated me first. So that just lets me know I'm in good company when oh man, you know what blows me away? It's being afraid to say something that I know Christians are going to disagree with that's biblical. You want me to give you a great example?
Such as?
Don't talk bad about our president. Just let that sit for a second. Don't speak against our don't do it. I don't care if it's Donald Trump. I don't care if it's Joe Biden. I don't care if it's whoever it is.
You're
the
right.
Bible clearly says, and I told you I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
Jesus clearly says,
that's
do
right.
not speak against anyone in government. Like, pray for them so that they can get back to doing what they need to do, so we can get back to doing what we need to do, and don't have to spend, I'm paraphrasing, but don't have to spend much time focused on them. So when I hear Christians, oh, I can't believe Joe Biden's doing this or Trump's doing that or blah, 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 it's not biblical, and you shouldn't do it, because
what should you do?
You should pray for them. Like what Jesus says, pray for them that they'll be, we can't determine what it is they do, what it is that they get done or whatever they do.
Yeah.
But we can pray for them. And we don't put enough emphasis on prayer for our leaders. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily agree with everybody who's president, but it's not my right, biblically, spiritually, to criticize them once they're in that role. Jesus didn't speak against the Roman government. Who did Jesus speak against? He spoke against the church at the time, that they were all hypocrites and they were teaching the wrong thing and their motives were wrong.
Give to Caesar what Caesar's, give to whatever.
Taxes, what he's saying. I mean, that is controversial to say that. Don't speak ill of our president. It's how many people are going to listen to this podcast right here and just be like, well, I voted, I can do what I want. Yeah, you sure can, but is it the right thing to do? Are you going to be blessed for it? If anything, the words that should come out of your mouth about Joe Biden is, Lord, I pray that you bless him, keep him in health, help him to make the right decisions. I may not agree with everything he says, but Lord, I have to believe that he's there for some reason. And I just pray that you do whatever you need to do through him. And that is controversial.
Yeah.
How dumb is that?
I know, it's like praying that the pilot of your airplane, man, I hate that guy. I hope he dies. Well, you know what? He's flying your plane. It might be a good idea to pray for the guy, at least to get this thing on the ground so that everybody can get off safely. Why are you bad mouthing him and trying to bring him down while you're sitting behind him and you're going to reap the benefits of whether he lands this thing or not? So you might want to get behind him and help as much as you can.
Don't Monday morning quarterback the president.
Yeah. No,
yeah,
I totally agree. That's so controversial. There's media empires built around not doing that, criticizing everything, regardless of who's the president. It doesn't matter. Whoever's in the president's seat, that's who they're going to start picking after. I mean, billions of dollars are being spent, billions of dollars are being made just by doing that.
Yeah.
And
so what do you think if I got on a main stage as a pastor and I said, don't criticize the president anymore, whether you like him or you don't? How much pushback would I get for that?
I think it needs to be said regardless of how much is, but how much would you get? I mean, I don't know. I think you would get some, because people would have legitimate questions. But for the most part, I think people would understand that reasoning, and
okay. So would you agree that, Jesus loves terrorists? or countries we
I
don't really
I
agree with.
know. Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
that's what
I
I'm
agree.
saying. It's just like we've got to get out of this
It's tough. It's
small
tough.
town mindset. God is
Yeah.
not American. You know, he's not a red-blooded American, you know, with the flag draped around him. He's God. And he can do things. He can make things happen, but we're just like we have this, we put him in this, going back to other chapters in this book, we put him in, he's an ocean and we only know a cup's worth of him because that's all we can contain, you know, that's all we can understand. But the Bible says that God can literally do anything, far more than we can imagine or guess in our wildest dreams. So don't think for a second, if you pray for Joe Biden or any leader in positions, you know, I'm not a huge fan of Nancy Pelosi, but I'm not going to criticize her.
Mm-hmm.
The most power, I mean, I can criticize her and join thousands of others doing it, thinking that I'm getting something done. But the moment I pray to the God of the universe about this person, there is no choice but for something to change. There's no choice but for something to happen in a good way. I'm not saying anything bad's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, he can literally do anything, and it's never going to look like we think it's going to look. You know, most people thought before Jesus came back, he was going to come back with an army and destroy the Roman Empire. And that's how we think. It was just like, it's going to be this epic moment where he just levels it all. And, oh, I'm God. But that's not how it works.
Yeah, if he doesn't do anything to America, he's going to have to apologize for Sodom and Gomorrah. You know,
that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I think you're right on, and a whole movement could be made, just a rant movement. I said the word movement. I'm sorry. A whole process could be created around this thought of don't criticize the president, pray for the president. That goes for your mayor. That goes for your senators. That goes for your state school board. I mean, if you want success, pray for these people that are in a leadership position so that they can be successful, so that you can be successful, so your kids can be successful. I mean, because we're yanking on these people so hard and we're all doing such a great job of it. Look at the results. Trillions of dollars in debt. They call it the swamp. You know, people lying, cheating, stealing.
Unity.
We're getting what we asked for, you know. How about if we just go ahead and say, you know what, we need to quit doing this, and like Matt Clark says, we just need to start speaking well over our leaders. That's just like your family, your kids, your wife should be speaking well over you over them, because you know.
That's a great example. If I constantly berate my kids and wife and just say, like, you're not as good as you should be and blah blah blah, they're going to start living up to those expectations.
Exactly.
And they're never going to be good enough. You know, I hate to share this story because my mom watches these podcasts, but my dad, you know, he passed away 7 years ago, but he would always make fun of my nephews and just call them little criminals. And it's funny to say it, but I watched them walk out what he spoke.
Oh, really?
Because they believed it. You know, I mean, they're not like hardened criminals, but they just do. I mean, they're not making the best decisions. Is there hope for them? 100%. You know,
they chose poorly.
They chose poorly, but that's what was spoken to them as little kids. And one day they believed it. And so it's just like we lay out this scenario and that's all we say. And, you know, this leader's horrible or this or that, or they're not making the right decisions and they're stupid and dumb and old and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, just like you said, we're watching our words come to life. And instead of taking it to the one who can actually make a difference, and that might be a super spiritual statement, but I know this, every time I brought something to God, he's never not answered. And we got to stop thinking like, well, he's probably going to do it like this. You don't know how he's going to do anything because he didn't have to let you know.
Right.
But if he does something, I mean, how cool is it that he heard you? You know? I mean, we take for granted the, I don't want to say the power at our fingertips, but honestly, the power that God has and the power that we can access when we tap into it. And, you know, going back to what we're talking about, have a relationship with him and love him and just say, hey, God can be surface level to you for the rest of your life if you choose that. But once you know his character and what his intentions are for your life and for, everyone on this earth, perspectives change and you speak differently and you think differently, and your heart attitude towards men, women, children, other countries, other, different skin colors is going to change, because it has to. It can't stay the same, and it's only going to change for the better. We want unity. We need to practice unity. We want acceptance. We need to practice it, and then we need to stop thinking that we as individuals can change the situation, and just trust that God's going to. Like, Scott, if you're dealing with something in your personal life and you're not wanting to change it, it is not up to me to change that for you. It's up to you, and it's up to God. And the thing is, we need to allow God to move in our lives so we can be aware of those things that we might struggle with. It might seem little to us at the time, but they're going to have big consequences and results. We've got to hand things over to him. It's the only way to get things changed. It's the only way to get things moving in the right direction. And it might be a weird thought in today's time where everything has to be real and in the moment and communication for 30 seconds and that's it. But no, I think it's required. And it's almost like going old school. I've got to know his word. I have to have a relationship with him, and I got to love him, and I got to trust him when he tells me to do something or leads me in a certain direction. And to hell with everything else. I'm going to trust this process that he has for me, Jeremiah 29:11, he planned this out for me. So why would I try to walk something else when there's already a way planned for me? And a lot of people view that as control. It's not control. This is the best way for you. This is what's going to be great for you. Is it going to be difficult at times? 100%. But he never said, hey, go this way, and I hope you figure it out. It's, hey, go this way, and I'm going to help you get through those things, and you'll be stronger and more appreciative of it at the end. And I don't know. I have so many thoughts, Scott.
Hey, that's why we're doing this. So
I want you to title this. I want you to title this one, hey, baby.
You want to meet our executive producer? This is our executive producer. You say
babies are
okay.
Babies are the coolest thing.
Babies are the coolest. Oh, now you're going to tune up. Are you going to tune up? Okay, here we go. Give it back to grandma. Okay. All right. So title it what?
Title it. You might want to check this one out at the end. You might want to stay for the end of this one.
Yeah. But we covered a lot of stuff. I'm on 10% battery now, so I'm probably going to have to wind this thing up. But we've talked about Lonesome Dove. We've talked about men loving men, how guys love guys, loving God, Jesus, how to go about doing that, spending time, relationships. What else did we talk about? We talked about Will Smith and Chris Rock and the Academy Awards. And the government, president. And I'm with you on that. I totally get it. I totally agree. And I'm doing that. As a matter of fact, I do that. But I pray for the president, vice president, speaker of the House, and the government. But then again, I also say stuff about how idiotic they are and stuff. So I need to stop doing that. So for those of you listening out there, Scott Townsend's going to stop doing that. And I'll focus on the prayer part for them, but I'm going to stop criticizing them, because that doesn't do you, me, the whole country any good. And if there's something that they're doing wrong, we have an opportunity during the voting process to vote whoever we think is the right person. Yeah. And until then, so anyway, good job. Good conversation as always with Matt Clark. So, all right. Well, for Matt Clark, this is Scott Townsend. We'll see you guys next week with another M5 conversation on chapter 7. I think it's chapter 7.
What's the chapter? I have my book with me.
Your best life later.
Cool.
So anyway, all right. Well, for Matt Clark, this is Scott Townsend. Have a great day, everybody. Just chill out. It's going to be all right. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
The Scott Townsend Show is a Dietzo Man production. For more episodes, visit the Scott Townsend Show YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.